Hey everybody, Ryan here at eTrailer. Today on our 2021 Jeep Gladiator, we're going to be taking a look at the Kuat NV 2.0 hitch mounted bike rack. So right off the bat, before we kind of get too carried away, this rack is going to be available in a couple different configurations. So we have the 2-bike version here on our Gladiator today, but it's also available in a 4-bike version. And both of those are going to be available in a few different colors. So you'll have the gunmetal gray, like we have on our Jeep. And there's also a gloss black or a matte black finish. So really gives you a few different options, and you can choose whichever one is your favorite or whichever one matches up with your Jeep the best. So my first impressions of the rack on the back of the Gladiator is I think it looks really good actually. These Kuats are top notch when it comes to quality of construction, and it really shows. I kind of like where it sets too. So the rack is almost kind of in line with the top of our back bumpers, so there's a nice smooth transition there, and it doesn't look funny or out of place or anything like that. So one of the big questions that we get asked is if you're still going to be able to have access to the bed of your Jeep. And with the rack in this position, you can open up your tailgate a little bit. Really don't give you a whole lot of space. I would just suggest playing it safe and tilting this down. So you can actually do that with the bike still on, which is really convenient. Simply just pull that lever. As you're going to tilt down out of the way, and then that will allow us to open up our tailgate and get whatever we might need in and out of the back of our Gladiator. And kind of a clever little feature that I really like is that each wheel tray actually has an integrated lock built into it, so that way you can keep everything secure. If you happen to maybe stop by a gas station or get a bite to eat or a cup of coffee before or after the trails, not going to have to kind of peek outside constantly and make sure no one's running off with your bikes. With that said, the way the rack works is super simple. It's going to hold our bike down in 2 spots. So in the front here, we're going to have a wheel hook, and in the back, we're just going to have a wheel strap. And it does a good job of keeping our bike nice and secure. We're not going to have to worry about it going anywhere. No frame contact, so perfect for those of you with carbon bikes. Not going to have to worry about damaging that or scratching them up. And whenever we're ready to take the bike off, super easy. You're going to have a little button here you can push. The strap will come up. You always want to start at the back. You want to do this one first. That way you can grab a hold of your bike. Make sure it don't fall when we loosen up the wheel hook. There's a button there you can depress. Kind of swing this up and out of the way. Then we have more than enough room to grab our bike, pull it off the rack, and go hit the trails and have some fun. So when we're not using the rack, I do suggest taking your wheel hook and swinging it back like this into the stored position. And something we need to think about is the fact that when we have the rack on the back of our Gladiator, it is going to extend the overall length of it. And with this being longer than your traditional Jeep, something you definitely want to kind of keep in the back of your head. So what we'll do though, we'll measure from the tailgate there to the very edge of the rack. That's going to be right at 35 inches. So although it's not adding a ton of space back here, something you want to really pay attention to if you're pulling into your garage or maybe even a tight parking spot. That being said though, the rack does fold up and frees up some space. You have a lever here, you push that in, you can swing it up. And now it's pretty compact actually, don't really add a whole lot of space back here. Looks like the furthest point will be this knob here. So I'll measure from our bumper to it. And in this position, it's only going to add roughly 18 inches. So shouldn't really have too many concerns or issues whenever you have the rack like this when you go to pull into your garage or maybe even that tight spot. Something that's really cool is Kuat actually kind of gives us a workstation, if you will. When we have the rack like this, what you can do is open up that lever and swing this up to your desired height, rotate it, and you can lock it in. So something you don't see on a ton of bike racks is this feature. How it works, you'll loosen up this knob, and you can take your bike, set it in there, clamp it down to secure it, and it just gives you a good spot to work on it. You know, if you got to maybe change a tire, maybe adjust your chain, anything like that. Just really opens up your options and makes life a little bit easier. So moving down here, the rack is going to work with those 2" by 2" receiver tube openings like we have here today on our Gladiator. It's also going to come included with a locking hitch pin. So give you a little peace of mind, you know the rack will be secured to your Jeep. No one can just come up and pull out the hitch pin and run off with it. So like I said, it gives you a little peace of mind there. If you move back here, we're going to have a knob here, and when you tighten this down, what it's going to do is eliminate all the slop and play there in the connection point. And that's going to do a couple of things. Going to provide us with a little bit more of a quiet ride inside of our Jeep because this rack won't be bouncing around all over. And it's going to provide our bikes with a little more of a smooth ride as well. So to kind of give you an example on how that works, so if you're going down the road hitting some bumps, you can see that the rack is going to move with the Jeep and not on its own. So I really do like the idea of having a bike rack for the Gladiator. Even though it has a bed, a rack can really make life a lot easier. You're not going to have to hold your bikes up so high and put them in there and they're bouncing around, scratching everything up. You're not going to have to deal with that. The platform rack, barely lift them off the ground, put them up there, you know, they're nice and secure, and then you're going to have all your space inside of the bed still. So if you and the family want to take a trip or your buddies, you can load everything up, all your bikes back here, and still have the entire bed for all your gear or whatever else you may bring. So all in all, a rack you really can't go wrong with. These Kuats are awesome. Been around for a long time and with good reason. They're really well built and will definitely get the job done. So if you're anything like me, you wouldn't mind seeing the bike rack in action. So let's go ahead, load it with some bikes, take it out on the test course, and see how it performs. This is our test course. Let's start with the slalom. This shows side-to-side action, such as turning corners or evasive maneuvering. Then, onto our alternating speed bumps. This shows twisting action, such as hitting curbs, potholes, road debris, or even uneven pavement. Last of all, the solid speed bumps. This shows up and down action, such as driving through a parking lot or parking garage, or driving in and out of a driveway. And that'll finish up our look at of the Kuat NV 2.0 hitch-mounted bike rack on our 2021 Jeep Gladiator.